Our next guest was a director on 18 charitable boards at one time. Who is he? You'll find out coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald. We're focused on community service, and we're visiting with the epitome of just that, Vernie Dove. Good morning, Vernie.
Thank you, Greg. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, since we met, golly, it seems like...
it seems like we've known each other for 20 years, but it hadn't been that long.
It hadn't, 5 or 6. That's right.
Years,
That's exactly right.
I've always enjoyed your family, your mom, your dad, your aunt, all of them. They're just all good friends.
They are.
You're a good friend, too. You do a lot for the community.
That's sweet, Vernie. You have been, of course, you and I have something in common. We're both Tar Heel natives.
That's right.
And we have something else in common. We left the Tar Heel State to come down to the Palmetto State.
That's right. That's right.
And we have something else in common. We both now love the Palmetto State.
That's exactly right. I never thought I'd leave North Carolina. I just never thought I'd do that. But the way things worked out when I sold my company, Peg and I had a little beach house at Surfside, and we'd been here a lot. And so we tried to relocate at Wrightsville Beach, and that didn't work out. It's just too crowded. Think about it being more crowded than Myrtle Beach, but we're glad we moved here. Myrtle Beach has been good to Peg and I, and as you know, the community has been good to me, and we just like being here. It's the best of both worlds.
You've said Peggy, you've said Peg, you've said we.
Peg, we, Peggy. When I say we, it's just Peg and I now. The kids are all grown and gone and earning their own money and spending their own money. And, of course, our 2 little grandsons, we enjoy taking them on trips with us now when we travel. They enjoy that, and we enjoy it.
That's right. Your son and his wife have brought grandchildren into your life.
That's right. That's right. We took them on a Disney cruise last year, and we took them to Nassau this year. And who knows where we'll take them next year. But they're just a pleasure. They love coming to the beach. They like coming to the beach.
What do y'all do on those trips, Vernie?
Well, the Disney cruise is wonderful. They have so much. You never see the kids during the day. They have so much to do. And it's all just absolutely first class. The Disney cruise would be just as well. You don't have to take kids. It's so first class, you want to go back even if you didn't take the children, because it's just so much to do. You go to a couple of islands, and they have their own island, and the kids love that. They like that. They like Nassau. That's why we went back recently and took them back over there. They have camps for them. They have all kind of stuff for kids.
I bet. So the Disney cruises don't have to be for kids.
No. It was a couple 85 years old that just got married and was on their honeymoon.
No.
They was all over the place. It was several couples that didn't have children with them.
Is that right?
But it's a first-class cruise and a first-class ship.
Speaking of couples, Vernie, how long have you and Peggy been married?
49 years.
Oh, come on.
49 years. Be 50 next April.
Y'all will be celebrating 5 decades together. 5 decades, Vernie.
5 decades together. Feel sorry for Peggy. Don't feel sorry for me.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Peg has, as you well know, you know Peggy well, Peg has a lot of patience, a lot of inner peace, and just a good girl. And she looks after me and keeps me going.
Putting up with your antics for almost 5 decades now. Is Peggy a Caswell County native as well?
No, she grew up and born and raised in Danville, Virginia, which is just across the state line, as you well know.
Right.
Danville's about 12 miles north of Yanceyville. And our 2 counties adjoin each other, Caswell County, North Carolina, Pennsylvania County, Virginia. But Peg and I knew each other growing up. We got to know each other probably in junior high school, even though we went to separate schools.
Right.
But I played a lot of sports, and my county didn't have city recs and stuff like that. Danville did. So I played a lot of city league football, baseball, and basketball. And that's where I met Peggy. The YWCA's sock hop.
Is that right?
They'd have it every Friday night, and we'd get through playing ball. That's where we'd go.
So you didn't actually have a first date? You
met
at the YWCA sock hop?
Yeah, a long time ago. And then after I went in service, went in the Air Force, we started dating, and when I'd come home. And so we got married while I was in the Air Force, and she went back with me.
You courted for a while then, Bernie.
No, not too long. We got married when I was 19 years old.
Golly.
I know. And see, I was in business up there 30 years.
Do you remember proposing to her?
Yeah, on the telephone.
Oh, come on.
Honest, I did.
You are kidding.
I was in Florida. I was tired of running back and forth. And I said, we need to stop this. I said, we're going to get married. Let's get married. You come back with me. She said, fine. So that's what we did.
Golly, Vernie, of course, you think at 19 you just couldn't have been old enough to make such a big decision.
Well,
But now you all have been married almost 5 decades.
Yeah, and then first, Lou Ann, our daughter, was born after we got married, 3 years after we were married. And then Vernie Jr. came along 2 years. So it was fun. You were very young, growing up with your kids almost.
Right.
And their college years were wonderful. One was at UNC Chapel Hill, Lou Ann. Vernie Jr. was East Carolina. And it was just fun, them being in college. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed all of Vernie Jr.'s sports, and baseball and football. And Lou Ann danced recital. She took 3 dance classes a week from the time she was 5 until she graduated from high school. And Peg gave up her banking career and started looking after the kids.
And you were able to find you were able to find the time, Vernie, to get I think I saw you owned and operated an insurance company there.
Yeah. For 30 years. That's right.
In Yanceyville. Were you able to find the time? How'd you do it?
Well, it was easy. I don't know how the parents here at the beach do it. Soccer has come to be such a big thing, and golf, everything. They haul the kids somewhere all the time.
Right.
We lived out in a rural section, and Peg would have to take Lou Ann to Danville for dance classes 3 nights a week, and Vernie Jr.'s high school was close by, and it just all worked out. Yanceyville's a small place now, 1,500 people.
No.
Yeah, you either related to them or know them or went to school with them.
Right, sure.
And the whole county wasn't but 18,000, but it was a wonderful place to grow up. It was a wonderful place to raise kids and everything. But when I had an opportunity to sell the company, I wouldn't do it, and then the next 30 days they came back and I decided to do it. So that's when we moved to the beach.
That's a pretty big deal, owning a company and operating a company for a little more than 30 years, and then actually selling out. Bernie, and you were a young guy selling out.
Yeah, that
early
was
51.
I don't know. Let's see.
Not to date.
We moved to the beach in '87. I sold the company in '87. I was 51. That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So with that, what was that like, having grown a company for 30 years? And
you know what? I never thought I'd sell the company, but it was such a good thing for me, and they let me do all the financing and everything. Then I had tobacco farms and stuff that sold too. After first 2 years, I was fully retired. I just wasn't going back to work. But as you well know, after a couple of years, we became very active with First Presbyterian Church, and they had never had a business administrator, and then that's when Bobby Wilkes and I became good friends, and he wanted me to do that. He said it was a part-time job, 2 days a week, and it wound up 7 days and 7 nights a week. But that's where I met Lane Harris that tapes a show.
Right, our director.
At
First Pres.
Yeah, absolutely right, and he's good Tar Heel.
So, that's right, another Chapel Hill grad. That's right, or alum. That's
exactly right. And see, North Carolina plays a big role in Myrtle Beach.
They do. Has that been difficult for you, 15 years down here in South Carolina? Whenever you say Carolina, obviously folks are thinking of USC.
Well, I joke about it a lot. People say that I know that go to USC or graduate from USC, and they'll say something about Carolina, and I'll always say, well, I know you went to school in Chapel Hill. I said, I didn't go to school in Chapel Hill. And I said, well, that's big Carolina. Little Carolina's in Columbia.
Oh, no.
And I'll get in trouble saying that on this show because I say it a lot, and some people think it's funny and some people don't like it. But, I like both schools.
Right.
I've been involved, and as you well know, for 3 years since I've been here at the beach, I was president of the Board of Visitors of Presbyterian College.
Right.
And I sure think a lot of First Presbyterian Church, but Presbyterian College, PC. One of my best friends in my little hometown was the Oldsmobile Chevrolet dealer. He played football at PC. He went to PC on a football scholarship. He and his brother. He and one of his brothers. And that's where Art Baker played his football. He went on to be a great football coach. And at East Carolina some too.
You've also been real active at Coastal Carolina, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I was out there for 6 years, and I was president of the athletic booster, the casino club, and that was a challenge and a lot of fun because the first couple of years I was not working at the church, but I spent a lot of time out there, and I enjoyed that tremendously. We raised a lot of money. We raised a lot of money and had a good board, and I miss it. I really miss it. But as you well know, as I got busier and busier and busier, I just couldn't do it so much.
Bernie, I remember you trying to get me out to some of the women's basketball games
out
there. So get out. You got to come out. It's a treat.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is. And now their football program has really taken off.
Absolutely.
And that is a great thing with the stadium. And I've always said that if they ever got to the point they could keep the kids on campus, their attendance would pick up at basketball and football and baseball. You know, a lot of kids that go to Coastal live at Loris or Myrtle Beach, you know, and just drive in.
Sure.
And when class is over at 3 o'clock or something, they don't stay.
Places
but now they've got all those apartments out there that the school owns, and their attendance has really picked up.
That's made a world of
difference.
difference.
And Coastal is just growing by leaps and bounds.
It is. I love that.
Ron Engel has done a great job.
Coastal Carolina, located there in Conway, is a great thing. It reminds you that really anything at O'Ree, whether this side of the waterway or in the Low Country or in Georgetown, it's all Coastal Carolina up to Nags Head.
When we first moved to the beach, our daughter called and she said, "Daddy, it's a little old school is saying in the paper today where some little old school in Conway beat Wake Forest." I said, "That's your school." I said, "Lou Ann, that's impossible. That's just a little old." I didn't know anything about them at the time. That's just a little school out there. And she said, "No, that's what it said." I said, "It must have been a JV team," but it wasn't. Coastal had beaten Wake Forest, and that was the first year down here.
He's ribbing me as much as
I
I
just thought that was funny, and really, that's what got me going to Coastal.
Right.
I love basketball.
Oh yeah.
When I heard that, I said, "Man, they must have a good basketball team." So I took off.
Speaking of basketball, obviously, I want to focus a little bit of time on First Pres. But speaking of basketball and fanatical folks, you work with a fanatical Tar Heel fan, old Raymond Child.
I'm glad you said old Raymond Child. Raymond's about 3 months older than me, and I like that. You hit the nail on the head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a big Tar Heel fan. If you just walk in his office, you can see that.
I know. There's old Dean Smith stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Posters of the.
You know how the tradition is at Chapel Hill, they could not expand upward the football stadium. It could never be higher than the Pines. The Pines had to grow.
I didn't.
You didn't know that. Well,
no.
then they expanded it several years ago and raised it higher because the Pines had grown. Well, our kid Raymond, he can't put up any more North Carolina paraphernalia in his office until his desk grows up a little high. You know how Raymond keeps his desk.
Oh yeah.
So we kid him a lot, but he is Tar Heel, and that's no doubt about it.
Well, now, did that tie into your ability to actually leave the church and to come on with Raymond?
No, that had nothing to do with it. No. After I'd been at the church 4 years, 2 or 3 agencies around town tried to get me to leave and go back into business, and I didn't want to do it. And but the second year, Raymond came back with a really good contract, and so I decided to do that. And it's been wonderful. It's been easy. That's the way I met you, my association with the agency.
Absolutely.
And I enjoy Myrtle Beach. I've never sold any insurance. I think you build relationships and friendships, and that's when you do one thing. Like the first golf course I insured, of course, was the Dunes Club. Well, once I did that, I started writing a lot of golf courses. Mm-hmm. And same way with hotels and restaurants. Mm-hmm. So it's been fun. I don't have to work real hard. Mm-hmm. If you do big stuff, you don't have to.
That's right, absolutely. You've got such an amazing group over there working with you.
Oh, yeah, my Kim, I could not. Kim, as you know, is my brain and right arm and left arm, and she and I have an agreement. If she leaves, she gives me 2 days' notice, and if I leave, I give her 2 days' notice. So if both of us leave, Raymond probably retire.
Raymond get a gun out.
Retire. That's right.
Oh my God.
That's right. But it's fun working there, and Raymond's a fun guy. He and Jerry, and you know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Raymond does so much. He and Jerry for the Miracle League and
Miracle League. They're incredibly committed. Absolutely.
That is a good thing for Raymond and Jerry to do, and they put their heart in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Vernie, talk a little bit about working there. What originally was going to be a part-time job at First Pres, the business administrator, turned into 7 days, 7 nights. And she said, "What's it like working with Bobby Wilkes?
I tell you
as great as everyone says."
Yes. I always say this. I think I said it on the last show. Bobby Wilkes lives in a different world.
Ooh.
And I wished I could live in that world, but everybody can't. Bobby sees no bad. He sees no color. Bobby's heart is in that church and its congregation, and you've always been affiliated with a church, and I have too all my life. I've never seen a large church There's politics in everything. But Bobby can handle the very young children, the teenagers. Lane will attest to that. Everybody will with their kids. And he can, young adults and seniors. And see, a lot of time you get a big church going like this, somebody think you're paying too much attention to the children or you're paying too much attention to the seniors. Bob bounces it all. He handles it all. And he's the best at that I've ever seen. And the reason he believes what he says and does. And he lives what he preaches. And Bob is just an outstanding person.
I love that where love makes the difference.
Love makes the difference. Nobody can say it. Tommy Britton, I attend his Sunday school class sometime in the Methodist Church when Bobby goes out of town on his little sabbatical in the summer. And Peg and I visit other church, and I like to go hear Tommy Britton's Sunday school class. And he said, where love, I can't say it like, he can say it, he's the only person who can say it like Bobby Wilkes says.
Oh, yeah.
But he can do it. And Tom is a great Sunday school teacher.
Is he really?
Oh, man.
He picked that up from his papa and his sister.
That's exactly
his sister's a minister.
That's exactly right. And being an attorney with that minister background and stuff, he's dangerous.
And a criminal defense attorney at that, along with many other things.
That's right. But he's a great person, and I enjoyed his show when you had him on.
Yeah, he was great, leading up to the stump, leading up to the Gallons Ferry
That's
stump.
right.
You know, Vernie, I wrote out 1,000 things. I haven't asked you any question that I created working on that last night and this morning. It's so tough to get you in. Of course, all week we've had some amazing guests in.
Yeah, well, good.
But, you know, as I looked at an old bio and saw Rotarian of the Year in 93, 95 Sun News Volunteer of the Year, the big...
Never volunteered for anything in my life. Never. But that... I appreciated that award.
That was a great thing. Of course, in 97, the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year, and then later in 2000, the Ann DeBach Leadership Award from Leadership Grand Strand, and that was the first year I think it was given.
Well, that was very special to me because Ann DeBach and I became very close friends. And she was at the chamber, as you well know, and did leadership classes. And before she passed away, several years before that, I don't like to say I had health problems, but I had something that my doctor said I had to get out of some stuff, and boards and things. And she made me write down everything I was on. It was 18 boards and organizations I was involved with at the time, and she said, you got to get out of all this stuff. So I took about a 6 month sabbatical.
Did you say 18?
18.
Oh, my God.
She wrote them out. She wrote them out. And I did that and didn't tell anybody that, but I was elected president of the Rotary Club that year, and I had to decline.
Wow.
But then I come back the next year, and they elected me again, so I did it. But when I declined, Ann DeBach called me from chamber one day, and she said, Vernie, said it's time we nominate new board members at the chamber, and you need to be involved in the chamber. And I said, well, Ann, I just got out a bunch of stuff. My doctor will kill me. She said, I don't worry about it. Said, you don't meet me once a month, and if you have anything that needs to be done, I'll do it for you. And she just talked me right into it. But the chamber meets more than once a month, believe me.
Oh, yeah.
But I enjoyed that. And then after Ann passed away, that one of the leadership classes right after that, their project was they started Ann DeBach Foundation and an award, and they always need money too, like everybody else. And sometimes we'll get a little statement, they're a little low. I always send them a check, and I hope a lot of other people will too, as I'm sure they do. But Ann DeBach was a wonderful person. She was very special. She's just like Ashby Ward. I mean, what can you not say about Ashby Ward? He was such an icon. And so that chamber's come a long ways. And Brad Dean, I'm so proud of Brad.
Yeah.
Brad, when he left Hard Rock, he didn't want to leave the area. And Brad and I had become good friends. And our CFO had left. It wasn't really CFO, but he kind of handled the finances. So I called Brad and asked him would he be interested. And he said he would because he didn't want to leave there. So I talked to Ashby about it. And I always kid Ashby about it. I got tickled. He said, well, Vernie, I've heard of that boy. I said, you know, he works at a restaurant out there at Hard Rock Cafe. I said, yeah, but that's Hard Rock. That boy's a CPA, and he's got all the marketing skills in the world, plus he's a CPA, and you need a CFO for the chamber. What a better combination.
Right.
He said, well, I'll talk to him. First day he went in, talked to him, Ashby called me, said, I'm going to hire that boy tomorrow. And he did. And Brad will do a good job.
He will.
Couldn't think of a better person to take Ashby's place.
Absolutely. We were over at the chamber a few months ago leading up to Sun Fun, sitting in there, and Harold Clarity sat in and watched Brad's interview. Harold was scheduled to come up after that.
Mm-hmm.
And after Brad finished, he's like, this guy needs to be our next U.S. Senator.
That's right.
Really,
Absolutely.
he's so special there. And
he's laid back. When he speaks, you know it's coming from his heart. You know he's telling the truth. I've seen him in all kind of situations. You know, some of us flew to Washington for the I-73 rally in Washington, and we visited all the congressmen and all that stuff, and senators, and they called on Brad one night to talk about I-73 and everything. He didn't know he had to do that. He got right up. I was so proud of it. You're right. Brad could accomplish a lot of things.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He really is.
His job is a challenge.
It truly is. Of course, today's not about Brad. You won't believe it. We only got about 7 minutes for him.
That's what you said last time. It goes fast.
That's right. It flies. But you think about all that at one time, 18 board service. And I know you said you don't write a lot of insurance. I mean, you're not out pounding it all the time.
No. I write a lot of insurance, but it's all big stuff. But
Right.
I don't. You know, it just comes easy for me, and I'm very thankful to the people that
You've got tons of great clients around. How do you find the time to get any work done, Vernie? I know you've pulled off a lot of those boards.
I'm off a lot of those boards now. Santee Cooper Board, as you know,
of course.
appointed that by the governor.
I know.
And believe me, that is a challenge. That is a challenge.
Now, why?
That's very well, it just is. It's a state agency, but it's not funded by the state. And it's a board of, it's 10 of us, and the chairman.
Right.
And there's a lot of young fellows on there that think out of the box, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, but it's so different than sometimes the way somebody my age thinks. Santee Cooper gives the state like $11 million a year.
I know.
And but anyway, it's a challenge with the bad budget, you know, with the General Assembly and everything, and we're in the process of selling like $13 million worth of property that Santee Cooper don't need, and to advance the budget $13 million to help out as a one-time thing. But once you open that door, they keep coming back,
keep coming back, sure.
And we've taken a lot of flack over that. But I don't think we'll ever do that again.
You all have a new CEO.
Yeah, Lonnie Carter. He's a great young man. It was quite a challenge picking a new president and CEO because we had 3 candidates.
Right.
And I always remember before we went into executive session, so I could make the statement out in the open, we could have taken all 3 of those names and put it in a hat and just blindly draw one out, and we would have had the right candidate.
Right.
That's
great.
That's great.
Right.
And that's a tribute to Santee Cooper. They've all been there a long time. Lonnie looks like he's about 30 years old.
He does.
Yeah, and he's been there
like Brad.
20-some years.
Yeah.
And like Brad. And he's very bright.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a junior guy applying for the job. And he got it. And he deserves it. And the other 2 deserved it. John West and Bill McCall. I mean, you just couldn't go wrong with either one of those guys.
And you talk about junior guys. Graham was there a heck of a long time.
Graham,
the CEO.
Yeah.
Another guy who incredible man.
Oh, yeah, and now he's chairman of the board, to go to point. And he's been reappointed, so that's good. I mean, with his knowledge of the company and a whole new board, you see, that's a whole new board.
Right.
Every time we get a governor now, they throw in a whole new board, and that's not a good thing.
We got 3 minutes, Vernie. I got to get a few more questions in. Which of the many projects over the years has given you the greatest sense of accomplishment?
As you probably know, the kids voting program, that's been very special to me. All of my stuff, Presbyterian College, that was such a blessing. I enjoyed that. But kids voting, we started that about 10 years ago. And during an election year, didn't have any money, didn't know what we was doing, but pulled it off, and we voted 38% of the school population. And they have their own voting booths and ballots. And the best thing I ever did is when I hired Elizabeth Teal to be the executive director 10 years ago. She's still there. And she does a great job, a good job.
She is amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. And they, like all other nonprofits, they need money, So I try to help them with that as much as I can.
Absolutely. And if anyone can get in touch with Kids Voting, they're real easy to read.
That's right. Elizabeth, 455-1068.
Okay,
That'll get you Elizabeth.
455-1068.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That'll get Elizabeth.
If you weren't currently, Vernie, the executive VP there at Associated Insurers and on the Horry County representative on the Santee Cooper board, the state board, all these activities, what do you think you'd be doing?
Probably the same thing I'm doing now. If I still had the time and the energy, I would like to see kids voting go statewide. That was our original goal, but one chairman like myself at the time, or one executive director, one or two people can't do that. You know, it's in the school systems, and you jump through a lot of hoops to get the school system to buy into that like we did. And like Greenville, they have 7 school districts, 7 school superintendents. Spartanburg does too. And we met up. I've got some friends in Spartanburg, and they set up a meeting with the school system up there. You can't get them all on the same page. There's too many of them. It's like herding cats. You know, you just can't do it. But it's a great program, and it's doing real well in Georgetown, and they have it in Berkeley County too. So I would love to see that expanded. If I had the time and energy, that's what I would want to do.
Be all over it.
Yeah.
Biggest inspiration for you when you sit back and think about 30 years of owning and operating your own company, obviously getting married at 19.
Oh, yeah.
Raising 2 kids, now having grandchildren, and having set up, founded, and gotten involved in so many boards. What's been the biggest inspiration for you?
As you well know, my lovely wife, Peggy, without a doubt. You asked me that question before, and I get emotional. I can't help it because Peggy is, as you know, very patient. And Peggy has a lot of inner peace, and she understands me. She knows why I do what I do, and she buys into it. But she stays in the background, keeps me going, and I'm very grateful for that. She's very special.
We're all blessed to have Peggy.
That's
and
right.
Vernie Dove. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Vernie Dove coming up next. Married to Peggy Moorfield Dove for 49 years, father of 2, grandfather of 2, devoted Christian and church member, committed to the community, whatever community that is, whether it's in Caswell County, North Carolina, Georgetown County, or now Horry County, South Carolina. He's committed. He's a true Carolina person and a devoted husband. Vernie Dove. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.